Okay, we're here. We have no time to waste. Like, literally, I was hoping to get this done in like an hour. It's been 5 since I was hoping to to start recording. I'm not doing this again until the performance is like, well, definitely, maybe next year, IAE. But okay, so it's MISC Day. MISC has the Reliant. The Reliant is my baby. It's my favorite ship. And let's just get right into it. None of these are the Reliant. Oh god. Okay, let's start. Prospector to the left there. To the left. This beautiful thing. This is the starter mining ship. It's lovely. The seat has a little bug right now where it can actually kill you, but don't worry about that. They'll fix that. Yeah, or either they will fix it or they have fixed it. I'm not sure. I'm not a miner, so I don't care too much. Okay, so you have little VTOLs. Actually, it's very nice. I think this little stovepipe thing turns. Also, this has one of the nicest views as well. This is a very, very nice, very well-regarded ship for its view. Has 4 saddlebags that holds minerals and stuff. Some nice big engines. It's it's shit at combat, but it does have like 2 size 1s, I believe. Might be size 2 mounts. I'm not sure. Don't care if you're into mining. You're probably not into combat, or at least you're not wanting to do the same at the same time. You're not wanting to do both at the same time, so there you go. Starfarer Gemini, I believe. Yes, this is the refueling ship. It was one of the early ships. It has a very, very unfortunate interior that makes a decent FPS level. It doesn't make a decent FPS level. It's just super big, but it does have some honking guns. This is also, MISC typically has a love affair for gimbals and turrets. Typically not too many fixed, regular traditional mounts, except on things where they typically, you're not supposed to, where, like for the Razer, it has 2 size 1 mounts somewhere. I don't know where off the top of my head. Right there. But yes, the Starfarer Gemini is a, the Starfarer, the regular Starfarer, is a refueling / refinery ship or refinery ship, actually. It's actually modular. If we go back here, you see these honkin' tanks. I believe, actually, I'm not sure about this one. Oh, yeah, no. This one is the refinery. This is the refueling. So you could have any number, and it's got 8 mounts here. So you could have any number. You could have it all refining. You could have it all refueling. You could have it half and half. You could have it like they've got it like this. It's very nice. It's very nice. You might be well acquainted with this because Xenothreat heavily uses them. Heavily uses Starfarer interior. I won't show the entire ship because it is actually a labyrinth, and it's not that good. They really need to update it. They will eventually. But you have these nice drop seats. I hope that the Corsair has something like this in it eventually, similar to the Cutlass. But that's about it. It's got some big guns, but like if you're taking this into combat, you're doing things wrong. The Gemini is actually, it's actually a bit controversial whether it's a MISC ship or an Aegis ship, because Aegis built the armor for this. And the Starfarer, one of the big things, actually one of the really big controversies about the Starfarer, you'll see that the nose has this. This is a missile launcher, a 9 size 3, 9 size 3s. The regular Starfarer has a basically a scoop for dipping into gas giants, dipping into gas clouds, and collecting fuel and then using it to refine. It used to be the assumption that quantum fuel was going to work like this, and then they changed that. They changed it to be mining. So, so very, very interesting little thing to note there. Okay, so the Razer. The Razer is MISC's racing ship. Now, MISC as a company is mostly focused on industrial things. Mostly, but that does not mean they aren't going to make a goddamn racing ship if they feel like it. You've got 3 versions. The EX, the LX, and the base model. Let's see, this is the base model. They well, I guess it makes sense. The Microtech is regularly on there, but anyways, it's nice. It's obviously kind of modeled after an F1 car. I don't know. I'm not too much of a racer, so you'll have to forgive me for not knowing the exact details. I think controllability is one thing it's got going for it. I think this is LX. Yes. Also, a thing to note, I'm not sure. This looks like carbon fiber. I think they said a thing that it might be this, or it might be this, or something. There's some Xi'an tech in this that is basically acts as a fuel scoop, as a very interesting fuel scoop. Might be this carbon fibery looking material. It might be some other part of the ship, but I digress. It does have some cool Xi'an tech. And the EX is the stealth variant. How useful of a stealth variant? What exactly are you doing stealthily? Getting around places in a single-seat fighter, in a single-seat racing ship that has guns that are basically bupkis. Don't get me wrong. Can be useful. Can definitely be useful. It's just a matter of not useful for every situation, I would think. It's definitely a good ship, though. It's just, I don't see the point in it personally, but I'm not a racer. All right, and now we have to get into a little bit about MISC. They're kind of just an industrial company that was kind of founded in the wake of basically a sudden and immediate shortage of industrial companies. Without getting too much into it, the empire collapsed. There was a lot of nepotism, and a lot of the industrial giants at the time were closely connected to the regime that was now very unpopular, and they kind of defaulted as a result. So that's where MISC came from, and they one of the things they're very well known for is Xi'an technology, not because they're were partially founded by Xi'an or anything like that, because they genuinely made such good ships that the Xi'an actually just genuinely loved them and wanted to have a trade agreement, or wanted to have, have trade technologies with them. Actually, legitimately, that's just it. They made such good ships that they impressed the elder aliens. And the Freelancer is, for one thing, the oldest MISC ship. 2, a reference to another game that Chris Roberts made, Freelancer. And 3, the first ship to include Xi'an technology, mainly these engines here. The Freelancer is a great ship. It's a Cutlass competitor, although I would say it's bigger than the Cutlass. It has a bigger cargo bay, but the base model, at least, has a bigger cargo bay, but it's narrower, and as a result, can't fit a Cyclone. It can barely fit a Cyclone, but there's no way for you to get in and out of a Cyclone if you manage to get in. So it's literally the hydraulics on the side are, I believe, are what get in the way there. It's an extremely tight fit. The DUR is the exploration quote-unquote model. It has extended fuel tanks, extended fuel nacelles, which the more I look at this, the more goofy this kind of looks, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. this is a pretty decent option. So what the freelancers, so all of the freelancer models, what they do is they change. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't rent that. So what all of them do is they basically they do something with the cargo section and maybe something with weapons like this. But yeah, so this is, okay, so for reference sake, this is me standing at the end of the cargo bay for the freelancer, the base freelancer. And the freelancer dir, this is me standing in just about the same place. So much less cargo space, but it takes that cargo space and turns it into a refinery that you can then use to refuel your ship. Of course, this is presumably, well, this would presumably mostly be hydrogen fuel, although I guess maybe you could, if you got Quantanium and got it into these, you could probably do something with it, but I don't know. And then you have a docking collar, which also holds just a little bit more cargo. And then the habitation section with 4 beds, a door, sort of, I think this is, yeah, this is like a sort of vending machine-esque thing, and a support station, and I believe a shoilet. Yes. Yes, very nice. Also, oh, on top of a fire hazard thing, I guess. Interesting. And then the cockpit, which is very classic, very Millennium Falcon, actually. It's a very nice cockpit. It doesn't have the greatest view. It's one nice long strip. I kind of like it. A lot of people complain about it, but it is what it is. Starfarer also has that. I would say the Starfarer takes like everything that's good about this aesthetic for a cockpit and just turns it up to the max. And like, it's not the best for visibility, but it just feels really cool. Let's start with, I guess since it is here, the Max. So the Freelancer Max is take 2 freelancers and weld them together and use twice as many engines. This thing absolutely can fit a decent amount of stuff. But again, as we see here, it's basically the same front section. I think the biggest problem, to my understanding, is that this actually has a little bit of trouble getting out of atmosphere. I think there's always been some kind of problem with the rear end just not wanting to move. I should also mention that while it's got different loadouts, they all have 2 twin size 3 turrets on the sides here that are controlled by the pilot. And you have a tail gun with a twin size 2 tail gun. You can barely see up there. And I think this is a size 4 rack with 2 size 3s and a size 3 rack with 2 size 2s, I believe. Which is going to kind of change when we get over to the MISC. So the MISC might be kind of unassuming. I think, oh yeah, actually, are they? I'm not sure if these missile hardpoints changed, but the reason it's called the MISC, it's because of these bad boys. These are twin missile launcher mounts. They have, I think, 10 size 3s. This is a mini gunboat, and it's beautiful. Okay. It's a really good option. It versus the Andromeda is genuinely a very enticing choice. I think it certainly was like before 3.14 when they made a bunch of changes, but I would say this is definitely a good ship you should consider. Especially, it used to have ballistic Gatlings as the default. And those aren't bad by any means, but I would rather have laser repeaters. These are laser cannons, so clearly it's meant to fight ships bigger than it, at least preferably. Probably use missiles for smaller targets. Kind of just sling support for fighters in danger, as it were. But I digress. My tactics are don't necessarily need to be your tactics. But yeah, so the Freelancer lineup is beautiful. The Freelancer lineup is beautiful. They've been in the game forever. They don't have a gold standard on the cards as far as I know, but it is they're not going to have too hard of a time with the Freelancer gold standard. Let's just say that. All right, now this is going to be hard for me not to gush over everything because this is kind of my baby. So the Reliants series is the Freelancer was actually known as the A ship for the MISC's attempt to use Xi'an technology, and the Reliant is the B ship. Oh god, there are so many problems with the Reliant right now that I just cannot even tell you. But and have had problems like ever since they actually started releasing, or ever since they came out. But it has so many pluses in my mind. So this is the Core. It's the base version, Core or Core. Core is actually the Xi'an pronunciation, and also actually Core is a word in Japanese. This and probably something else, but yeah, I digress. This has 6 SCU of cargo. People wanted to have 12, but it character's height is about like 1.8 meters, right? SCU is 1.5 meter, 1.5 meter cubed. So you would basically need to double the height of this in order to, not quite double the height of this in order to get to 2 rows of SCU. So that's unfortunate. But you got the best view, sans the top where your dashboard is, but genuinely beautiful. So you have the Core, which is the cargo version. It's not the best at cargo, definitely, especially for its size, because of its length, because of its width. It's actually lengthwise from front to back is actually a very short ship, but widthwise it's actually it competes with ships that are size 2, but this is a size 3 ship. The Core used to have a tractor beam module that did not work. So they replaced it with 2 of these Tashima turrets, which every other variant except the Tana comes with 1 of, I believe, by default. They also have 2 size 2 mounts on each of the wings, and 2 size 2 size 3 missile racks. Yeah, on each wing. Or they have 1 size 3 missile rack on each wing. So there's 1 here and 1 there. You know what I mean. So a thing to note, it's not, you got this horizontal mode and you have a vertical mode where the wings rotate with the cockpit. So this is supposed to be the flying mode, the travel mode. This is supposed to be, you lock the engines and they can only go either be in VTOL mode or they can be backwards and give you forward thrust. And they're supposed to have a higher top speed relative to the vertical mode, which is supposed to unlock these engines and be omnidirectional like the Car2All. You cannot tell me that it isn't, because in the IAE special, IAE Special Part 3, they fucking used a Mako, and you could see the wings rotating like the Car2All. And if you tell me otherwise, you're wrong objectively. Because they also said that in the Q&A for the ship, and if they took the time to animate it like that in a thing, then that means they're going to fix this at some point. Sorry, I can get emotional. I really love the ship. You also have this like sort of dummy mount. I think actually this might be like a utility mount, or actually no, this might be a camera, because this is the Mako, which is the only which is the only ship in its class for no, that is a dummy mount. Okay. This is the only ship in its class for journalism, which I think is going to be a super awesome profession. But I have no idea what it's going to look like. So you have this camera. It kind of gets shitty footage right now. This was actually in like all of the oh god, this was in all of the IAE specials for Willie's Guide. You have a bunch of, it should be a bunch of monitors, though they're probably holographic actually. I don't know, but you have this like editor's bay, got 2 beds, shower, computer rack, I guess. I don't know. Same cockpit loadout. Also, this is where you get access all the stuffs. Let's see. Oh, and this has a scanner because this is the Sen, which is the science version. Actually, let me just make sure. Yeah, okay. So this is a scanner, and presumably also has a dummy mount. Yeah, okay. You can put this, the Tashima turret, or the camera on, you know, any way you like. Have a little science station. Like a little observation thing. Some towels. I wanna see what this towel looks like unfolded CIG. Oh, you have a little like cooler rack. Okay, not a cooler rack, you know. But yeah. So these two are very, very interesting. If I'm gonna tell you the popularity of the two, I think of all of the variants, I think the Kourei is dead last. The Kourei is dead last. The Mako's probably follows it. The Sen is probably the second favorite, and the Tana is the combat variant. This is my baby. I love this so much. I got emotional before, so I've gotten all of my emotions out, so if I sound dead inside, it's mainly because this has taken so long, but I digress. So it comes with gimbaled size 3 mounts. I'll tell you what, 2 size 2s does more DPS than 1 size 3. There might be some advantages in the future, and hell, there might have been some advantages in the past before 3.14, but when they kind of did the rework, basically, I mean, this is a laser cannon, and those are repeaters, but a size 3 laser cannon versus a size 2 laser cannon, the size 2, okay, the size 3 does more DPS, but 2 size 2s versus 1 size 3 does more DPS, so there's and literally no other different stats. Maybe when you get between like the 4th and 5th size weapon, but that just, yeah, but that's a completely different thing where it becomes anti-fighter versus anti-large ship, basically. Okay, so the cool thing is that you have 1 SCU of cargo, a weapon rack, or an armor rack, and a weapon rack, the 2 beds and the shower. This is very utilitarian. You can do box missions. I've actually, in Xenothreat, I don't have the footage anymore, but I actually basically lined the entirety of the floor up to the cockpit with the boxes that you're supposed to deliver, and I actually genuinely had to crouch walk out of my ship in order to drop them off. It was hilarious. I really wish I had the footage, but maybe next Xenothreat I'll do it again. But yeah. Beautiful fucking ship series. They have so many problems, basically all revolving around the transformation of the wings in the vertical mode. That oh. Sorry, I've been talking too much. I just really love these damn things. The biggest thing, like when in vertical mode, it cuts you off from the cockpit, which is fine because theoretically it's supposed to be the combat mode. And, ideally you would take the air out of, the rear section and funnel it all into storage or all into the cockpit, because you don't need to be worried about, the rear section during combat, hopefully. But fantasizing about how the ships will work in the future aside, so when you log out from the beds, it'll spawn in vertical mode, which means you can't access the cockpit, which means that logging out of a ship, even though it works most other times for other ships, you never do that in Reliant. I used to do it on planet side, and there it would actually stay in landed mode, but that is not how this works. But it's not how it works now. If you, let's say if you go to a bunker mission, die, come back, the Reliant will have, unless somebody's still there and has like loaded in that area, it will respawn or reload in vertical mode. And if you, okay, and also if you, if you take the ship, so if you take the ship out, bring it back, store it, and then try to call it back again from a space station or wherever, it'll start in vertical mode. It'll dance around the pad. It won't destroy itself, which would be a good thing actually, because the only way you can fix the problem from there would be to claim the ship, but you can't do that if the ship isn't destroyed. So what you would have to do then is go somewhere else, go to another station or go to another ASOP terminal, and, you'd have to claim it there. Except if this is your only ship, which, by the way, this is labeled as, like, the starter multi-crew ship, so, like, it's very feasible that this is your only ship. You would have to get another ship and then fly to somewhere else to claim it, but you can't do that if it's your only ship. God damn it, CNG! Sorry. Okay, all the emotions out now. I swear. But it's a great ship. It might not be great right now, but it's a great ship, and I love it, and it's my favorite. And I'm not a part of the Reliant owners group because I'm an antisocial motherfucker, but I'll join it eventually when I get the nerve. Okay. All right, and moving on to the ships that MISC is actually known for. I believe, let's see, is this? I believe this is the whole B, actually. Right? This is the whole B? No, this is the whole C. Wait, what the fuck does the whole B? Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the whole C. This holds a massive amount of cargo for its size. It also folds in on itself. These fold in, and this entire thing telescopes back to be a smaller package. Obviously, the only way you're going to be able to, like, offload this cargo is by docking with a station. You can't land it. I mean, maybe theoretically, the whole C can be landed on a planet with these retracted. I don't know if you could potentially land this with the bottom ones folded up. I don't know if that's possible at all. I don't know if that's in the plans at all. Somebody will try it. Somebody will try it, and we'll find out, though, and that'll be it'll either be a very educational time or a very fun educational time. Let's just leave it at that. Then we have the smaller brother that does not have that problem, the hull A. There is a hull B that only has one of those arms, but yeah. Also, the hull A and the hull C are very near completion. I mean, the hull C was actually, like, pretty much done, but then they realized they didn't have the tech they needed to actually give it any purpose. So, yeah. But yeah, the hull A is smaller. It doesn't actually carry too much cargo, but it is going to be something that you can actually land at outposts. So where that is going to take things station to station, this thing theoretically could take things station planet side. In much lower volumes, obviously, but okay, so yeah, the hull A is going to be a great ship. They're near completion. We'll have to wait and see. when exactly. I think they're slated for maybe, I think the hull A is going to be a little bit sooner. Also, I should mention these are 32 SCU boxes, I believe. I don't know. The hull C is at a minimum supposed to use 32 SCU cargo boxes. Because if you tried to use just one SCU cargo boxes, it would, the amount of things you would have to render, the amount of objects you would have to actually render would be so much that the game, it would just implode on itself, basically. And now, moving on to one of the biggest ships and one of the last ships to be complete. We will not see this thing for a while. I don't know if this is going to even be remotely what this thing looks like. The Endeavor. The Endeavor is a modular capital ship. I don't know exactly how the modularity is going to work, but you have a floating hospital, a floating science research place, a floating agricultural place, a floating a lot of stuff. I don't know necessarily how exactly all of the modules are going to fit together, what you can put on, what you can't put on with this other module, etc., etc. Also the front of the ship, right about here, detaches into, this is the forward part of the ship, and this is basically the station part of the ship that this thing, I wouldn't say tows because it does have engines, but you get the picture. Imagine this is probably as close to the the Enterprise hull, or the Enterprise D, the one from the Next Generation with the detaching with the detaching saucer section. It's probably as close to that as you're ever going to see in Star Citizen. And because it's relevant for the next part of our discussion, this is $350. You can buy this for $350 of real-world money. And I will say again, this is a capital ship. And it has all of those things with that modularity. Albeit, we'll have to see. But to get to my point, the newest ship, the MISC Odyssey, has people in a huge tizzy. People think that this is going to make things super, super, super obsolete. Everything. This is the best ship ever. Okay, look, sports fans. Let me tell you. Let me tell you a few things about this. So this is basically a Carrack competitor. It has the ability to mine and refine on board. It has a size 2 landing pad, or an XS is the term they use. Size 2 is also, I think, another term, but point being, it can hold fighters. I don't know if it can hold a Reliant. If it can't hold a Reliant, I don't give a shit, to be completely frank with you. But yeah, so the thing about this is, okay, for one thing, so basically, the best way I would put this is, this is a jack of all trades. The Anvil, the Carrack is also a jack of all trades, but slightly differently. It does some things. This does something. The Odyssey does some things that the Carrack doesn't, and the Carrack does some things that the Odyssey doesn't. The Carrack has drones. It has it's got some explicit scanning stations. It is meant for more people, and whereas this has mining. Also the Carrack has modular cargo sections that could be used for other things as well. So yeah. And I would also say the turrets. So these have 3 dual size 5 turrets. The Carrack has 4 dual size 4 turrets. And in case I got that wrong, this has 3 dual size 5 turrets, and the Carrack has 4 dual size 4 turrets. So why? So the Carrack, I'm just going to say the Carrack is better. Why? Because, and this might be a bit of nuance, okay? But size 5 turrets, there's a cutoff between size 4 and size 5 weaponry. Size 4 is supposed to be faster firing, faster velocity, meant for typically for fighters, meant for smaller targets. Size 5 is meant for bigger targets. So basically, if you're going to compare a repeater, a size 4 repeater and a size 5 repeater, the size 4 is going to have much less lead time and going to be much easier to track targets with. It'll also be shorter range, but that's not as big of a deal. And honestly, you probably would prefer the shorter range because it's less time for enemies to dodge stuff. But I digress. Basically, what are you planning on fighting with 3 size 5s? I mean, if it had 1 size 5 and like 2 size 4s, I'd be fine. But this makes me question things. Also, it's also, I will say that they have explicitly said, and I mean, I always thought this was going to be the case, but there will be exceptions where there's a size 5 that's good against fighters and a size 4 that's good against ships. Cannons are kind of always meant to be like against larger ships in any case, even, size 1 through 4. So, just my point being maybe made a little obsolete, but also for the mining and refining, Okay, so you could pick this up. You could be a miner. You could refine it, and you could sell that. However, if this is comparable to the Carrack, for the price of one of these in game, you could buy God knows how many prospectors and have just so many more mining potential coming in that just the sheer numbers, this does not make sense. And now for refining, we're still waiting on a small refinery ship. I don't know if this thing if the small refinery ship turned into this, I would be genuinely disappointed because, well, small refinery ship would make things very interesting. But yeah, so an economy of scale thing. This thing is supposed to be super self-sufficient, a super self-sufficient explorer. And don't get me wrong, I'm not harping on it because I hate it. I'm just harping on it because I think people maybe I want to temper expectations as much as I can. But there are a lot of good things about this ship. I mean, they've got a large and small docking collar. They've got a decently sized hangar that, I mean, might not be of interest to me. It actually might be. We'll see. But that hangar is much more useful than the Carrack. That can only hold a snub. Don't get me wrong. This is a great idea for a ship. Also, let me mention again, jack of all trades. This is $700 in real world cash, in real world USD. The reason that the Endeavor is $350 is because it's so old and they never updated the price. So I just want you to know, okay? I just want you to know if this sounds good, but but you're like, well, I don't really know if I care about refining, or I don't know if I necessarily like the thought of this ship. But you're like, oh, and it does also have a medical bay, I should mention for the sake of comparison. Like, oh yeah, I love the idea of like just a giant ass ship that can be like, just a hospital or a farm in space, Basically, I mean, it might not be a completely fair comparison with the exact kind of roles in mind, but this is a master of one. This is a jack of all trades. Both are completely good options. In-game price, this is going to be astronomical. In-game price, this is going to be something you work like a month for. But real world price right now, $700 for the Odyssey, for the jack of all trades, $350 for the Endeavor Master of One. And again, when I say Master of One, I'm kind of just assuming that you're kitting it out for a very specific thing. It could actually also be a jack of all trades, granted a slightly different jack of all trades type deal going on here, but yeah, so also this is going to have a hangar that can hold a size 3 ship, so this can absolutely definitely hold a Reliant. I think I'm gonna kill my voice if I stay here any longer talking about these. So that's my point. I'm okay. So I bought the Corsair because obviously this is $700. It's literally 4 times as expensive as the whole process I went through to get a Corsair. If I had $350 to just randomly throw at this game, at this project, I would get an Endeavor, absolutely, hands down. Hands down. Yeah, so MISC, some really good stuff coming out of MISC. I'm tired. I'm tired, and I'm going to have one hell of a time editing this down. But until next time, have a good day, great day even. Chowskis.